We are so excited right now. We are so excited. We did it. We did it. Belle.
Go get it. Yay!
Go get our bird, Belle. Oh, what a bird. So we're in a little hole where I've seen it. We've been sitting here for about an hour and a half. We got one gadwall. We made a little makeshift blind. And we've been sitting here, and I told PJ, let's just wait. A beautiful morning. Beautiful morning. And this bird came right down in the hole. Right down in the hole. It landed. I jumped it up off the water because I didn't want to smoke it. And I think, well, last year I got one. I blew the beak off. But all right, Belle, come on, bring that bad boy over here. I don't care if I'm scaring ducks. Come on, come on, Belle. Right here, pup. Right here. Drop. Good bird.
Did it!
Marty. We did it, Marty. Mike. Look what we got, Mike. It's a Hooded Merganser. Hey, I'm Eric.
And I'm PJ.
And this is the story of our Hooded Merganser mount. We're going to do a series of stories about the mounts that we've had. We have been fortunate that early in our hunting career we were introduced to Marty Gilchrist of Rafter T Taxidermy in Rockport, Texas, and he has done some wonderful work. We always say that we don't mount species, that we mount memories, because we've been very fortunate every year that we have hunted. We have been able to harvest at least one trophy quality bird. Sometimes two, but of a different species each year, and every trophy has been from a memorable hunt, a special moment, and that's why I say we don't mount species, we mount memories. And we hang them up on the wall, or in this case, make them into a standing mount. And so without further ado, do you want to, I guess the beginning part of this is mostly my story, but do you want to tell the folks about what these birds are?
So these are Hooded Mergansers. This is a hen and this is a drake. They're ducks.
Mm-hmm.
And there's...
Well, technically they're not ducks, they're mergansers, but...
Yeah. And they're special because I don't think we get a lot of them where we are. But they're very special because they've got this big, nice hood. And they have very thin beaks. And the other ducks have flat beaks, but these have like super thin ones.
And yeah, Paisley's right. We don't get a ton of them. And obviously, they're just fantastically gorgeous.
So pretty.
The drake, the hen, just like most ducks, they're brown. Hens are brown ducks. They're not very flashy. The idea behind that is, hey, let's blend in, better camouflage, so they can survive. Because ultimately, the hen surviving is more important to the species than the drake surviving.
So the drake has all the colors so that they hit the drake and not the hen, so the hen can produce more babies. And the drake always it's always flashing with green and blue and purple and lots of different colors.
Right. They're gonna be very the drakes in just about every species is gonna be much more colorful. So I guess where this starts is that PJ and I started duck hunting together in 2017, the winter of 2017, and I had never been duck hunting before we trained Belle. PJ's first duck hunt was like my second duck hunt. I had gone on one duck hunting weekend without her, but the both of us didn't know anything about it. We were learning, obviously, and we didn't have all of this gear, and we had a puppy that we were training. I had a shotgun. I had about 6 decoys, and a very primitive knowledge of what it took. But we were learning with each hunt, and finally in it was probably December of 2017, maybe late December. I had I had gathered enough knowledge to where I felt comfortable to go out on my own. And so the first time I went duck hunting without like a guide or a more experienced person with me, I was by myself and Belle, and we went to, at that point it didn't have the name yet, but it was just a pond that that we've been fortunate to hunt for the last 4 years, and we have now named it Belle's Bayou. But we were there and we were set up, and I had maybe a dozen decoys. That's all we owned at that point, and we just had I just had some decoys out, sitting in the weeds, and it was a fantastically unsuccessful hunt. We saw lots of ducks, and I missed lots of ducks. I was making it way more complicated than it needed to be. I was calling when I shouldn't have been calling. I was making bad shots. I was shooting when I wasn't supposed to. I was worried about things like making the jerk string go. I was just making it way more complex than it needed to be, and probably should have had a limit in short order, but I hit maybe one at that point, and it wasn't a clean hit, and the duck swam away, and Belle chased it for a while but then gave up on it. And then we just kind of sat there, and I got frustrated, and then I made a mistake of leaving the blind. You never leave the blind until you're ready to be done with the hunt, or leave somebody else with a gun in the blind when you have to go out or whatever. But so I'm by myself. I leave the blind. I go to the other side of the pond, just kind of walking around, my ADHD kind of kicking in and letting me walk on the other edge to see if we can find the one that got away. And while we were on the other side of the pond, at first, a big green-headed mallard, the first one I'd ever seen, came in and landed directly in our decoys. And I just kind of looked at it from about 80 yards away and was like, you've got to be kidding me. And then about 30 seconds later, one of these, a hooded merganser drake, came and landed. And so at the same time, simultaneously, I had a green-headed, late season mallard drake and a late season.
Which one have you picked to shoot?
My plan was, and I did have a plan, was I kind of at that point I told Belle to sit. I creeped down to the edge of the water. I tried to enter into the water, and I was trying to kind of low crawl, and my plan was to slowly move across the top of the water as low as I could and get as close as I could. My plan was to shoot the merganser first. And then while the
mallard was flying away, hit that one.
Right. Bang, bang, fantastic double.
Whoa.
It didn't work. I got about, 5 yards from the edge of the water, and they both scooted up into the air.
Ducks have great eyesight, though, so they probably saw you.
Yes, they have outstanding eyesight, and they're very leery, and they're like, okay, so there's this dude creeping in the water on us with a gun and dog and whatever else. So they flew away. I shot 3 times wildly from probably 75 yards, and
missed.
And nothing happened. They flew away, and so that was that. But I knew at that point, obviously, a mallard is a pretty recognizable duck, but I knew at that point that I had a hooded merganser drake in the decoys, and that I had just missed out on an opportunity for trophy bird. I knew what that bird was just from study, and so I was pretty frustrated, to say the least. And I did not see another one for about a year. I was hunting in the same pond. It was December of...
I think it was December 18th, 2018.
Yes, December 18, 2018. We were at the same pond, and this time I was hunting. PJ wasn't with me. I was hunting with my good friend Josh Jones, who had come home for Christmas, and we talked about getting together while he was here at Baylor. We trained dogs together, and he trained his puppy Lucy from the time she was a puppy. I trained Belle from the time that she was a puppy. So the two of us just went out with our dogs that we had trained together, and we got there. It was a very windless day, no wind at all.
So was the pond icy?
The pond was not icy, it was actually warm. And so I decided to use a Christmas present, and I opened up a box. Melanie was not happy with me, but I opened up a box that was already wrapped, and I took out a Christmas present that Santa had left for me.
You opened up an early Christmas present?
And I opened up the Wonder Duck, and it's just basically a duck that swims around and it splashes and it makes ripples in the water because real ducks move around. They're not just still. And on a windless day, the pond was like glass. I mean, there was absolutely nothing in there. We got to the pond. We were running a little bit late because Josh tends to run late. That's just the way he is. And so I didn't factor that in. And so we got there a little bit late, and the jerk string got all tangled up. The Wonder Duck, I had dropped the flapping paddle, and so we basically had nothing functional to make ripples in the water, and we had about 6 mallards that came and circled and circled and circled, and we don't see mallards very much where we are, believe it or not, and they just circled and circled and circled, and they just would not come down. We saw other ducks that gave us a look, and they just would not come down because the pond was just glass. There was absolutely no ripples in the water. So after about an hour, I said to Josh, listen, this isn't going to work. I need to go find that paddle that I dropped for the damn Wonder Duck. We need to get some motion on the water. And so the wind kind of picked up just a little bit at that point too. I started walking back to the truck because I figured I dropped it in the dark somewhere. It's about a quarter of a mile walk down from the road. And as I was walking up the ditch, I was, maybe about 100 yards away from the pond. I was walking up the ditch. I heard a single shot. I turned back and I looked, and I saw a duck coming up off the pond and flying straight towards me. And I knew that Josh had hit what he had shot at because he only shot once. And so then this duck is coming, and it's coming straight towards me. I was near a tree, so I just took a knee, told Belle to lay down, and she just laid down in the grass. And the duck came, and it was in range, and it flew over me. And so I raised up on it, and I'm not sure if I missed on my first shot or if I winged it, but I ended up winging it either on the first shot or the second shot. And the bird quickly reversed course and banked down and crash landed into the water. I figured, okay, it's not going anywhere. Continued to walk, and
that's gross.
I think one of the ducks just quacked.
Just so you guys know, Dad farted.
So I walked back up to the truck. I found the paddle, came back to the blind, and I said to Josh, did Lucy get both ducks? And he said, no, she got the one that I shot, but not yours. Yours kind of slinked off into those reeds. I didn't see it come out of the pond, but it's over there somewhere, and it's probably about 125 yards on the other side of the pond. And it was pretty flooded at that point. It's a smaller pond these days, and so anyway, at that point I didn't know. I couldn't recognize birds in flight as well, and so I said, well, what were they? I knew they were ducks, but what was it? And he held up a beautiful Hooded Merganser drake that Josh had shot. And so I was like, oh my God, those were Hooded Mergansers? And he's like, yeah. And so I was kind of like, well, maybe I got a drake too. So Josh pointed out the area where we thought it was. And I said, you know what? I'm going to send Belle across, but a little bit to the right. And I can just stop her with a whistle and give her an overcast and let her just work the bank and find the bird. The important part about this was her second hunting season, but this was the first time on a hunt that I was getting to send Belle on a blind retrieve, which means that she doesn't know where the bird is because she didn't see it fall. And that I have an idea where the bird is, and so I'm going to use hand signals and whistles to control her movement and get her to the bird. And so it was a beautiful thing. It takes a lot of work and a lot of training to do that. At times it's frustrating, especially for somebody like me. I've never trained a dog before, so that was a big hurdle for us, and it was a big goal for me to have Belle be able to do that. And so she swam about 80 yards across the pond, stopped on the whistle, worked the bank like I wanted her to, and then she just all of a sudden stopped dead in her tracks, dove into the water, swam up underneath the log, and I saw her, you know, how the dog reaches and grabs, and I knew.
She dove?
She didn't dove under the water,
Oh,
not for this one. Just kind of, it had floated up underneath the log, so she just kind of went underneath there and got it, and I knew she had the bird, and man, I was pumped, and
Yeah.
I was just cheering, and Josh is a very regal kind of person. That's the best
What
way.
does regal mean?
Like, he's just very stately, you know. And Josh was in the blind doing his clap, and he was like, "Here, here, gentlemen, here, here, very well done," you know. And so I was so excited, and that bird is this one right here. So December 18th, 2018. It was a hen. It was a merganser hen, not as pretty, but it's an important bird for me and for Belle because it was our first blind retrieve together. And so I said, I'm not crying now.
Oh, it seems like you were.
I'm going to save that bird, and when we get a drake, then we're going to make a special mount out of it. And so then about 2 weeks later, I was hunting with Adam Becerra.
I thought it was a year later.
Same pond, and he and I are sitting there, and I'm looking at him instead of looking out of the blind, and I hear a splash. And so as I turn and I look, in the decoys is a Hooded Merganser drake, and at the same time that I'm recognizing that it's a Hooded Merganser drake,
You're like, oh my gosh.
Adam just says out loud, "That's a Hooded Merganser!"
You're like,
Of course, it flies away. I grab my gun, bang, 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 0 for 3, strike out, it flies away. And so now I've missed my second opportunity at a drake.
I thought it was your third. Oh, at a drake.
At a drake,
Okay.
yeah. And then, so that was 18. So then in 19, opening first hunt at Bell's Bayou, our first hunt at Bell's Bayou, we always save it and we don't hunt it till the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
That's our traditional first hunt.
Are we going to do it now since they've put like stuff around it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll still hunt it a tradition. Hopefully the ducks will come still. We'll see. We'll see. All right, technical difficulties there. But we're back for the rest of the story. There's not too much more, don't worry. But so the next time was 2019. It was November 2019. It was our first hunt at Bell's Bayou the day before Thanksgiving, when we traditionally go. It was just me and Mike Butcher. And we had a single merganser drake came in. I hit it, but didn't kill it dead. There's a theme there with me not killing mergansers dead. I'm not that bad of a shot, I promise, but hit it, didn't kill it dead. Mike hit it, it dove, Belle chased it, and this was a hunt. Did you want to tell them about? Well, you weren't there, but you were home.
I was at home for some reason. I don't, probably because I slept in. But I remember this one so much because they were late. Like, Dad was late for home because he hadn't packed yet. And so Mom was like, oh my gosh, Dad's not home yet. And like panicking and like pacing everywhere. Like, he's supposed to be home now. We're going to be late. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So what it was is I was getting one more hunt in before we left for our Thanksgiving trip. Every year we leave and go to a Thanksgiving cabin. And I hadn't packed yet. I hadn't loaded the truck yet or anything else. And I told Melanie, and I had been down to Bell's Bayou to scout, and it was covered up with ducks. So I didn't think it would be a very long hunt. And I told Melanie that, don't worry, it won't take long. You know, we'll shoot our limits. We'll have Mike and I'll have a good hunt, and then we'll be out of there. But then we started chasing this merganser around, and it was diving, and Belle's going over, and we're walking around the pond, and oh, there it is over there. And we chased that dang duck for probably 45 minutes. And at one point, Mom, like Paisley's describing, she was panicking and then not happy with me because we were going to be getting late to the cabin. The rest of the family sitting around waiting on me. I'm up to my waist in a marsh chasing a duck. She's calling me like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm chasing a hooded merganser. Just give me a little bit longer." And yeah, we didn't get it. I think it just swam down, honestly, and just grabbed some weeds and drowned itself because it just didn't want to get caught. But we ended up not getting that hooded merganser drake. And then about a month later, I was at a different pond, but nearby. This time I finally killed one. I was with a good buddy, Alan Anderson, and we had a fantastic hunt.
I know what happened.
And I did kill it.
But he watered, what was it called? Is this when he
Yeah.
blew the whole thing?
Yeah, I ended up water swatting it. It came down and landed in the water, and I was not letting this one get away. So typically we don't shoot ducks on the water. I mean, it's just not something we do. And in my, I guess, quest for harvesting this bird and knowing that I had just missed on it and failed so many times,
I was like, oh my gosh,
merganser drake landed 15 yards, and I was just like, Alan just went, whoa, because I don't know that he had ever seen one. He's from more South Texas. They don't see him as much down there.
Wasn't he the one that got the hooded merganser drake, though?
No, he didn't shoot it. I did.
No, the other time when you got...
No, that was Josh.
Oh, that was Josh.
Yeah, Alan. Maddie's Alan.
Okay.
So Alan reacted, and I was like, man, I have got to get this bird. So I water swatted it, and unfortunately...
Blew the whole head, beak, everything.
Yeah, like, if we had mounted it, none of this would have been there on that bird, because I basically just... Yeah, not good. So...
We ate that one.
Yeah. Which, mergansers are fine in gumbo, people, okay? But... So anyway, not a suitable trophy bird, and obviously pretty upset at myself because I should have jumped it up off the water, done what we normally do, up, and then let it fly away a little bit and then knock it down. So 2020 rolls around, opening weekend. I hunt down on the coast a couple days, had a good time, came back, hunted the lease, was frustrated with myself because I did not shoot well that opening morning on lease, and it was just a frustrating time for me. And so, to be honest with you, after hunting 3 days in a row, I was kind of tired. God bless the guides that go out every day, but I was just tired, and I was just like, you know what? I just want to stay and sleep in. And my wonderful 9-year-old daughter.
I'm 10.
But at the time you were 9.
Was I?
Yeah.
It was December of 2020.
It was, November of 2020. So
I was 10.
All right, I'm not going to argue with you.
I'm not a 9 or 10-year-old daughter, something
Okay.
like that.
So anyway, it doesn't matter. 9 or 10-year-old daughter wanted to go out because it was only her second day to go out. And so I went out that afternoon, Saturday afternoon, scouted for Sunday morning, and I didn't see much. But I did see a single merganser hen on a pond called the Twins, which is another pond that's right next to the one where Alan and I had seen the other one the year before. And about 2 weeks prior to that, I had seen a couple of drakes down there. So I knew they were kind of around, and I thought, all right. So I kind of let Paisley make the decision. I said, hey, I didn't see any ducks anywhere except for the Twins. I saw one merganser hen. I said, we got a front coming in tonight, so it might blow new ducks in. It might blow the ones that are there out. I don't know. But we're probably not going to have a fantastic hunt. But we might get lucky and get our merganser. I said, but I'll leave it up to you. If you want to sleep in, then we can stay in and sleep in. No harm, no foul. And Paisley, what did you say?
I was like, I want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, oh no, we're going. She's like, Dad, you tell me what I always tell you when you end up sleeping in.
There's, wait. You can't hunt from your bed.
You can't hunt from your bed. So she just looks at me and she goes, Dad, you can't hunt from your bed. Let's go get our merganser, is what she said. And I said, all right. So we threw a few decoys in this sled behind us here and walked down to, built a little blind and threw out our decoys, and about 15 minutes in, we shot one gadwall that came in, and then we didn't see another bird for about an hour and a half. We absolutely saw nothing.
It was fun at the ponds because there was like no ducks, but it was like watching the sun come up and all these things.
I mean, it was a beautiful morning, but there was just no birds.
Yeah.
And so we sat there for about an hour and a half, and Peasley, we and I were just talking, and she says, Dad, what happens if you never get a Hooded Merganser drake, and then I start shooting, and I shoot a Hooded Merganser drake before you do?
I remember asking that.
You remember asking that? And I said, well, that's an easy thing. We'll just mount your bird instead to go with my special. Now, what I didn't tell her was about a week prior, I had a conversation with my taxidermist Marty, and I said, hey, I've got this Hooded Merganser hen. It is in the freezer, and it's been in the freezer for the last 2+ years. At what point does that bird need to be mounted? Because I know they can't stay indefinitely. There's risk of freezer burn, and they just, at some point, they just become unmountable. And he basically told me, like, yeah, you better get me a Hooded Merganser drake this season, or you can just mount the hen, and then we just mount the drake whenever. But I just didn't want to do that because
it's not very colorful, and it would have looked better with two of them.
Yeah, I was like, I want to bring the pair, So I was like, all right. So I said, yeah. And he said, well, then Mr. Eric, you better get on it this year. And so literally like a week later is when we're having this conversation about, what if I get one before? And I'm like, well, then, you will mount yours. And then one thing I will say about PJ, she's been in the blind with me since she was 7 years old, that she knows she's not a kid that jumps around in the blind. She's a kid, don't get me wrong. She's still, but she knows that, hey, if I hold my hand up, you don't move and you stop talking. Like if I just go like this, there's something about to happen. And she's learned that. And so she was talking, and I'm looking out, and then all of a sudden I saw it pop over the reeds, come down, hit the deck. It's only flying a few feet above the water, and it's coming straight at us. And I knew immediately what it was.
I saw it when it landed. Like I saw it put its hood up, and everything. I was like, oh wait, that's a Hooded Merganser.
Yeah, and so it came in. I put my hand up. PJ she just stopped still, quiet, and was looking around, and then it came. I was going to let it get, I had my hand on my gun, I was ready, and I'm just looking at it, and I'm like, I'm going to let it get as close as it can get. Well, it came all the way into the decoys, and then just sat down, and then as soon, when they fly, this hood is not like this. When they fly, it's back. And so as soon as it landed, it kind of turned, hood came up,
It's like, oh,
and PJ just went, ooh.
I was like, oh.
And I just kind of took a deep breath, did a little one of these, and I just stood up, and I went, hup, hup, hup. And it flew off.
Kapow!
I let it get a little bit away. One shot, bang! And it folded up, dead.
And we went, yeah!
Yeah, we went nuts.
Yes!
They probably heard us from the road. We were screaming. We were very excited. And we sent Belle. She went and got the bird and 2 ducks. But
we waited a little bit just to see if any other ducks, and we were like, you know what? We got a Hooded Merganser, and let's go home.
Yeah, and we were just happy. It's only 2 ducks, but it was one of the most memorable hunts that I have ever been a part of, and it's a fantastic specimen. And I wouldn't have been there. I would not have been there that morning if not for PJ.
Me.
Yeah,
I'm glad I was there once, because
you,
sometimes I miss the best memories by sleeping in.
Yeah,
And
but you've learned the lesson the hard way. And because you've learned that lesson the hard way, you're now like, I'm not sleeping in anymore.
Yeah, and so I was like, yes, I was here to do it, and I'm the one who persuaded him to go.
Yeah, I would not have been there if not for her basically forcing me to go. I would have slept it. I would have said, screw it, I'm sleeping in. I'm not going out there for one duck. But It ended up being a magnificent, and so we have that story combined with the first blind, and then this stump, this piece of wood is actually a piece of stump that I cut myself, and this is an old downed tree that's been down at Bell's Bayou for as long as I've been hunting there, and it's all, it's not rotten, it's hardened, almost not petrified wood, but kind of, how when wood gets hard like that. And so I cut off this piece of the stump. It's a fantastic piece of wood, and we mounted, or we didn't mount it, we brought the birds, and Marty mounted them.
We got it mounted.
Yeah. So that's the story of the Hooded Merganser.
I was the one who made this.
The Hooded Merganser hen and the Hooded Merganser drake. I'll move the camera around so you can see the birds up a little bit closer. Anything you want to add, PJ?
Not really.
I think I have some footage from the actual hunt that we might clip in here to add into this video. But I'll move this camera so that you can see.
Hood, yeah. If you look at it from this angle here, it looks like he's mad.
Yeah, he looks pretty tough.
He's like,
I mean,
one of those boom, boom, boom.
But I mean, just a beautiful, beautiful bird, and the colors, and I mean, Marty does
Fantastic.
Oh, he's an artist.
He's the one who's gotten all of our birds mounted.
Yeah, and then you got the hen down here. But so anyway, that's the story
of the Hooded Mergansers.
All right.
Bye. We're loading out the shells, so it's safe.
We started hollering and screaming because after all of those times and years of failure,
we finally got him.
After all of that failure, the Hooded Merganser drake
has come.
This is this year's wall hanger. All right, sorry, but the phone is running out of battery. So we're gonna end this with, actually, you know what we'll do? We'll get Bella over here.
Now.
Hey, hey, oh boy. No, leave that.
Leave that.
Oh boy, that's a good girl. That's a good girl. She sat in her kennel that whole time, watching the sky, being quiet, not being a pain in the butt. What a dog. What a dog. Hey, get out from underneath there. All right. All right, so we'll end this with PJ and our toast.
To the king of the mallard, to the duke of the wood duck, to the prince of the gadwall, may you fly fast and fall with grace.
All right, 60 days of duck season. Let's
get 'em, boys.
Let's get 'em, boys. All right, y'all take care. God bless. God bless America. And hopefully y'all enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed telling it. All right. Here's Team Troj wing shooting right here. All right, we'll see you next time.